Generally speaking, are we looking at the property sector increasing in its value, or is it declining sporadically?
No, prices are going up. Look, it's not a booming market, but it's a very comfortable place at the moment. We've seen both trading activity levels growing steadily over the past 2 years, as well as price growth, which last year slightly exceeded CPI inflation. We're talking about 6.8% average price growth for last year. So it's a good place to be at the moment, but certainly not a booming market like a number of years ago.
But when you look at the industry at the moment, and especially the prevailing economic pressures, would you say that to the consumer out there, it's the right time to buy, sell, or hold on to the value that is currently prevailing, which may depreciate at any given time?
Look, I think it's, when you're buying a house for primary residential purposes, it's always difficult to say when's the best time. You buy because you need a house a lot of the time. So the best market weakness for buyers is probably found when interest rates peak. If you're really looking to time the market right, probably not now. It's going through a relative period of strength. But, that's, as I say, it depends on people's personal needs. I think all one must do is caution people, if you buy now, that interest rates ultimately do go up. We're expecting it only next year, but you need to buy well within your means to be able to absorb interest rate hikes when they do come, if you're buying using credit. And then, of course, a lot of the rates, the municipal rates and tariff hikes related to properties have also been going up in recent years at above CPI inflation rates. So you need to be to cater for, make provision for in future a significant rise in those related costs as well. But if one can do that, yes, at the moment, the nice thing about buying now is that access to credit is relatively good. Banks have loosened up since about 4 or 5 years ago in 2008.
And also dependent on valuation of the property as well, because it fluctuates according to the municipality rate and what the banks are offering.
Well, yes. The banks, what we do, I'm not sure how the councils do their valuations precisely. I don't think they do physical valuations, but the banks, we do have a team of valuers, professional valuers, and they do actually go and do physical valuations to see, to try and ascertain that the value of that house will be enough security for the loan that we are going to grant, or if we do grant it.
So what trend should we expect in 2014, and how different is it going to be like from 2013? Because we remember from 2008 onwards, property was becoming scarce and many people could not afford to buy because it was expensive by then. So are we looking at the gloomy side of things, or should we be optimistic?
Well, I suppose it depends whether you want to buy or whether you own property now. But from a property owner's point of view, I think the prospects are slightly better for this year, in the sense that I expect slightly higher price inflation. I'm talking about not a figure of 30 or 40% growth of the boom years, but I think an average of, say, nearer to 9-10% this year, average price growth. Now, why I'm expecting higher price growth at a time when the economy is very weak is because as demand has gradually risen over the past few years, it's eaten up the oversupplies. Building activity is still relatively low, and so we've had more and more agents last year reporting stock constraints. So there's a supply side constraint, a better balance between demand and supply in the residential market, or a more balanced market, and that should lead to slightly higher price growth this year, I believe.
Yeah, on a parting shot now, there's relatively high demand for accommodation. The issue of affordability is really the question that is actually plaguing the consumer on the backside. So what should happen given the current development of estates throughout the country and the issue of land as well?
Well, I think ultimately what's going to happen is we'll see, as the year goes by, later in the year, we'll see more growth in building activity, which will start to alleviate supply constraints. But the big challenge in our major cities now is to use land more efficiently. We still build low-density housing, relatively speaking. We need to go higher density. Land with infrastructure is scarce. Infrastructure investment can't keep up with the sort of needs. So we need to use it better by building high-density stuff nearer to the places of employment to cut transport costs. That's the big challenge going forward now.
Okay, we'll see how it develops throughout the year. Well, that's John Loos, who is household and property sector strategist at FNB.